gum chewing. I have my remaining Big League Chew here. And figured I'd take a bit of a piece. That's a lot. That's okay. That's so good. The strawberry is amazing. So, I have the book here, and it's amazing how much stuff is in this book. You've got basically every mission detailed, and as well as different items and things like that. Let's take a look at what else we got here. Yeah, you have the different missions and chapters of the game. So let's see what else we got here. It's just amazing. So, let's take a look at the book. There's a lot of stuff in this guidebook. Some really good art. Scenes from the game. I've got the table of contents here. And you can see just like everything that's in here. So, it goes over, like, I like guidebooks, even though you might not necessarily need it for the game, because a lot of it's kind of, self-explanatory. But I love having guidebooks because if you ever need to look something up real quick, you have access to it without having to go online and without checking out YouTube videos or looking up guides elsewhere. So, you've got the basics, which shows like the different characters, their skills, weapons, armor, achievements, trophies, points of interest. It'll go over the different vehicles that you can actually like get in the game and how good they are and where you can find them, as well as all of the main story missions and the strangers and freaks, which I always thought there was more than just this, but it might not even have them all. It might only have the most common ones. Oh, well, random events, I think that might be part of it too. Because some of these look like they could be. I remember one mission actually where you're driving along and I think some woman, like, I think she gets kicked out of a car or something and she's like walking and you have to like pick her up and you have to drive her somewhere and she's complaining the whole time about like her boyfriend and how her boyfriend sucks and all this stuff, and then you like drop her off somewhere. I don't know if that's like a Strangers and Freaks mission or what. Or maybe it's a random event. But it also talks about the hobbies, pastimes, things you can do. Spaceship parts. I didn't realize that was a thing. So, let's just figure we'll flip through. Take a look at some of this stuff. So, character skills. Yeah, each of the 3 main playable characters has 8 different skills. The stats of these skills can be enhanced through different aspects of gameplay. Each character has different starting stats, the highest of which reflect their special skills. For example, Trevor has a much higher flying ability, Franklin has a higher driving ability, and Michael has a high shooting ability. The 8 skills are listed here. So the special, which I think you would trigger with the cap lock, X button. Like when you're driving, I'd use that all the time. Stamina, shooting, strength. Still flying, driving, lung capacity. Which is kind of weird, because you would think stamina and lung capacity would kind of go together. Because I think they're both used when you're like running or biking. Trevor's special skill, invulnerability. It's pretty interesting, actually. I mean, it would be the ultimate combo, obviously, with Michael having that, considering he has the better shooting ability. But it's pretty good. Yeah, the stamina allows you to sprint for longer periods of time at full speed before losing health due to overexertion. This includes running, swimming, and cycling. The skill is increased by 1% for every 17 meters. 18 yards ran, every minute swam, and every minute cycled. Participating in triathlons is a great way to increase this ability. So, and the different things, like, this is what I like, because you don't often get a lot of this information looking online on a YouTube video. I mean, people will tell you, oh yeah, you know, just they don't give you the specifics. Having a guidebook actually will talk about the specific math behind it and how much it's increasing, as opposed to just, well, it increases a little bit, you know, as you do it more. So, the different weapons, the different melee weapons, the knife, hammer, crowbar, golf club. Yeah, that's a favorite. I like going around with the golf club. And then you have the breakdown of all of the different guns, their damage rate, and fire rate, accuracy. Like, again, it's nice to have this as a quick reference, so you can easily see which one might be the best one to go for. Stun gun. A minigun. Grenades, jerry cans, Molotov. The tear gas. You would think that maybe it'd be good when you're in a tight spot, but while in water, the specialty meter becomes your lung capacity meter. If you're underwater longer than your lung capacity allows, the meter drains and begins to decrease your health. Okay, so that's lung capacity. It's more for swimming than for running, I guess. Yeah, the different vehicles, your personal vehicles. I don't know. I mean, when I'm playing, I'm like never using my own vehicle. I don't know who's doing that. I mean, maybe if you find like a really good vehicle, you might use it, but most of the time it's like I'm just using whatever looks good that I happen to run across, you know, like, or even if I do have a vehicle saved, it's like I'm in it for like 30 seconds. I'm like, oh, that looks like a faster car, and then I get out and take it. So it's like, I don't know. And then there was always like the hassle of like, well, if your car gets damaged, you could take it to like a spray shop and then get it repaired and pay to have it repaired. But I'm like, yeah, but why go through all those hoops when I could just, you know, steal this car that's coming by, you know? The different wanted levels. At each one of these levels, you know, I miss the early days of Grand Theft Auto. When I think it was handled, like, in, I want to say in 3, you could get up to 6 stars. And the 6th star was when, like, the army would show up, or maybe I'm thinking the original. I don't know, but I feel like they cut back on the amount of stars that you could get. And it used to be that when you would get up to a higher level, you would see, like, I mean, they still have it here, like, you get the FBI agents, but it was a lot more obvious. And then you'd have the army come into it, and there'd be, like, tanks and stuff. nostalgia because it used to be a lot of fun, but back with Grand Theft Auto 3, because the technology was so old at the time. I remember having just a couple of tanks on the map, and the tanks wouldn't like dissolve. They wouldn't be unloaded from memory. So if you had a couple of them on the map somewhere, all the vehicles in the game would stop spawning, and you would just have like those two tanks. But if you used the cheat codes, you could actually make the tank fly, which was pretty amazing. You'd like turn the gun around backwards and just start shooting, and then eventually you'd like take flight. It's pretty crazy. So it shows you all the different achievements. This has got to just be like in-game achievements as opposed to like Steam achievements or something. I wonder if they have it like that or not, but so you have the nice laid out maps here too, where it shows everything. You have a lot of green area, which I don't know. I mean, I just feel like maybe it's underutilized space, because really, you know, how often are you traversing through all this green area where there's no roads? I mean, I suppose you could go and explore, but I think most people just stick to the roads. So you have the different pickups. It actually shows you where everything is. Different pickup locations. I mean, it's good information that, again, you can't really get this from like a YouTube video where you are like looking through a walkthrough. I mean, maybe they'll show you where one specific thing is, but if you're like, oh, I'm here, and it's like, where's my closest pickup of body armor? At least you can actually just see. This is why I like the guides. It actually even shows you pictures of where it is, which is pretty amazing, actually. So it's not even just a matter of like, oh, well, it's in this general area. It's like, here's exactly where it is. It's pretty good. And then we go into the different cars and the modifications that you can do. Which, it's nice to have a bit of a guide. The different boats, I didn't even realize there was so many different types of boats and marine vehicles. But this lays out like every vehicle, what has the best speed, braking, acceleration. And I don't think it's just dependent on the price. I mean, here, look at this for example. Okay, now if this is a gauge where the top speed like is equal, it's not just arbitrary. You can see that this $18,000 model has a top speed of, I guess it's out of 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah. So it's got 7 out of 10 for top speed. This thing that's 185,000 has marginally more. So, I mean, I'm just looking to see, like, and you can see similar braking, acceleration is just marginally better. It's just very small increase just for the fact that you're getting this specific vehicle. Sure, it looks nice, but you know, that's a lot of in-game currency. And if you really like, I mean, you can see that it would actually be worthwhile to go with the one that's a little bit more, because you actually do get even better. You get better braking and traction for very little more money, which is pretty crazy. That these are things that you wouldn't realize. I mean, I think in the game they actually do have a little chart that shows you and you can kind of gauge, but it's just nice to be able to see it without having to go through with the interface. You can just look side by side comparison cars in here very easily. And all that stuff aside, even if you were gonna get a vehicle, it's like, why bother spending $185,000 in game when you could just steal a police bike or a cop car? Like, I mean, if you compare the speed to some of these things. Anyways, I did not realize you could actually find these to drive in the game. I need to do more exploring, like really. So, there are so many vehicles in this game. It's unreal. And this guidebook, I don't know if they added more as time went on, but this I think is an original printing of the book, so I don't know if it's been updated at all. Let's skip a little bit past this and see what we got going on here. Main story walkthrough. You can see how it just shows the objectives and everything that you need to do. The map blips. Little tips about doing certain things. I mean, it's a prologue. How much? I mean, it's pretty much, you couldn't get any more hand holding than that. But as you start progressing to some of the more difficult missions, skip ahead here a big chunk. But you can actually see prerequisites for missions to appear. And once they get a little more complicated, you can see where you're going and what you would want to do to prepare for these things. And it even gives you this, which is actually really nice, because you really don't get that information going into a mission. You only find out about this stuff after the fact. And even then, it's not that detailed as to what you're specifically doing. It's just usually like a checkbox and says something, but it doesn't explain like how you get those extra things, right? So I've actually recently started replaying this game. I'm not very far into it, but I get sidetracked easily. I started playing a couple other games too. Just skip ahead through some of these things. You basically have a walkthrough of every single mission. As far as I know, I don't know, there might be some that aren't included. Just smaller side missions, but it really does give you a nice breakdown of the different things that you'll need to do for a mission. Yeah, I always like the flying missions. I like flying in the game. I think actually it's one of my preferred control systems for flying. I know on the PC, some people find that it's a little bit cumbersome and a little non-intuitive, but I like the simplicity of how they make the flying, which is fun. Sometimes just for fun, I'll like take a plane and I'll take off with it and then get up to altitude, and then I'll like cut the engines and then try and see if I can land it without crashing, because I always wonder if that's like, I mean, that's something they can do in real life. If the engine's cut out in a plane, they can glide it down to safety and land without a problem. So I do that just for the fun of it, and it works out. So got all these different missions and stuff. I mean, obviously I can't go through everything, because if I did, this video would be like, I don't know, 6 hours long. So we'll just skip to the next section here, which actually I'm kind of in, but I wanted to find the start of it. Actually, this I think is it. See, strange folk wander the coastal counties of Los Santos and Blaine. In Grand Theft Auto 5, Michael, Franklin, and Trevor each have a set of oddball characters they can encounter outside of the main story. These people make requests that lure your protagonists into amusing side missions. Question mark icons on your in-game map reveal the locations where you can first meet these strangers and freaks. Like the letter icon that triggers story missions, the question icons are color-coded tier 3 characters. Green for Franklin, blue for Michael, and orange for Trevor. When you see a question color-coded for your current character, approach the person marked by the icon to trigger an interaction and launch the side mission. After you complete the first side mission with /for a stranger or freak, chances are good you can meet them again later for one or more follow-up missions. Locations for these later meetings with the same person are marked on the map by a letter, usually the stranger or freak's initial plus a question mark. For example, T question mark for Tanya, or B question mark for Barry. I wonder if it actually says, oh it does. So it says where the person is, prerequisites, and the playable character that interacts with them. So this is definitely great for speeding up if you're trying to do like 100%. I mean, it's good to have something to sort of follow along with, because discovering some of these things, I mean, if they have it on the map, that's great, but if you haven't done any of the prerequisites, or you have to like explore to find these things, like for example, wow, this is probably the 3 missions for that, but it just makes it nice to be able to see. Yeah, see, I just recently started doing this mission again, and yeah, when I completed it, it comes up with the unmarked and kill chain, but it doesn't actually explain a lot of these things as to what specifically you have to do to get those little achievements. So you have all these different strangers and freaks missions. Some might get pretty crazy. Let's move on to the random events. So, this might be it. When driving along the indicated West Coast highway, spot a car thief making off with a pink classic vapid peyote near Hookies. Catch up to the vehicle, red blip on the radar as it races away in the opposite direction from your approach. Try to target the vehicle's driver with drive-by attacks. Try not to damage the car to a point it explodes. If you can't take out the driver easily, enough damage to the vehicle forces the driver out. If the driver exits the stolen vehicle, he draws a pistol and shoots. Gun him down, and then commandeer the vehicle and drive it back to the rightful owner. Blue blip on the radar. Yeah, that's not it. I remember some of these missions. There's just so much to do in this game. It's amazing just how much they actually put into it. I'm looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6. Hobbies and pastimes. Endless summer taxi missions. Yeah, I love doing the taxi stuff. It's fun to like pick up people and drop them off in places. It's probably pretty relaxing to sort of just watch as you like drive people to their destination. But it points out basically just like I said, so much stuff that's been put into this game and so many things you can do. All the different areas you have to go. Dune buggy. I don't remember that mission. We have to go around in a dune buggy. But bail bond missions. It might be fun to actually go through and do some of these things as like video recording. This definitely is a guide that looks like it was made for consoles, considering the fact that it's talking about pushing a button for Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3. This definitely isn't really considering what the keys are for PC. But part of me thinks that didn't Grand Theft Auto 5 not get released on PC until much later? Like, didn't it originally release on Xbox and PlayStation first and then eventually get ported over to PC? That seems to be how they do a lot of the things. Like Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, I know is very much the same situation. It was on console for at least a couple of years before they finally decided to port it over to PC, which was really a weird thing because they did Red Dead Redemption 2 and they ported it over to PC, but Red Dead Redemption 1 they didn't until just recently. Actually, it took them that long to, and they didn't do any sort of real remastering of it either. So I find it kind of hard. Like, I want to play Red Dead Redemption the original, but I mean I have it for console, but I don't really do a lot of console, like more modern consoles. I have a Nintendo Switch. I have an Xbox 360, and I do have an Xbox One, but I was mostly just using it for like TV before getting a Roku. But yeah, when I saw that they were porting it over to PC, I was pretty excited about it. But the fact that they didn't really do much to improve it, they definitely waited too long to port it to PC. So I'm sure there's probably mods that can make it look better, but anyways, the flight school, and what else do we have? Different challenges for guns. The marathons. Oh my god. I remember when I was playing this, the first time I went through and played this game, I got to one of these missions where you have to bike, and it's a race with some woman, and oh my god, I must have spent over an hour trying to win that race, and I couldn't, and I didn't understand why. I wasn't even coming close. I was like, this is insane. And it was finally after about an hour that I realized that you can actually push a button to sprint while on the bike. Because, like, there's a couple of different bike races. Right at the beginning, you do a bike race. Michael does a bike race with his son. And the guy just smoked me. Like, I was like, what the hell? Like, this fat kid, you know, he just totally smokes me completely. And I'm like, what the hell? So, I didn't realize at the time. Went through the whole game. And then when it's, like, the last, like, 20% of the game, I get into this race. And, like, for an hour, I'm just grinding out, being like, I gotta win this. And then find out that you can sprint, and it was like the easiest race in the world to win, and I was just like, oh my god. And I would just get so close every time too, without sprinting at all. I would get so close, and it just at the last half second they would always just scoot ahead. So, but yeah, that was my embarrassing moment with playing the game. The fact that I didn't realize you could sprint while on a bike. I don't know why it didn't occur to me at the time. I feel like it wasn't even like, I don't know. I don't even remember what the button is. I don't know if it's just the same like the shift, the same as like with running. I don't know if that's the case or if it was a different button or something, but PC side, dude. So what else do we have here? This is just the miscellaneous. Talking about all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's very much like, it's definitely catered towards consoles, because it doesn't talk about the PC controls at all. But it's just nice to have all of this information here. Oh wow, it even tells you when you're robbing these shops, like how much you would actually get. So, I always just love strategy guides because of all the information. Like, I have them. I don't often, like, I'm not usually, like, playing a game with a strategy guide in hand. Most of the time you just play it, it's fine. I just like having them as part of physical media, as a reference sometimes, to be able to see, like, just things you wouldn't really think about in the game, or to make things easier, because some things in some games, it's so obscure, and it's something that's like hidden somewhere. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of time to play games, so it's like, if I know it's a game that's already going to be like a 60 to 100 hour commitment, I don't want to pad that out by being like, you know, oh well, it's going to take you like a few more hours of running around and trying to find these tiny little things or something like that. Especially if it's important to progressing the game. So in situations like that, I'll have a strategy guide that kind of points these things out to make it a little bit easier. Anyways, so what's this? Oh, the different aerial challenges that you can do. More things that get pointed out. It's actually neat that they programmed it in that you can do these things. Discover these little areas you can go under. But again, that's exactly my point. If you're trying to 100% a game, I mean, if you were manually going through trying to find every little bridge and every little nook that you could do a little maneuver to try to get through, dozens of hours. I mean, it would take you so long to do that. It's so much easier to just have a guide that sort of points it out, you know? Well, that's about it for the guidebook. I probably should have mentioned before starting, spoiler alert if you didn't want to know any of these things, but I think it's pretty obvious the direction we're going. I'm reading a guidebook, so I think it's pretty obvious that there will be spoilers ahead. And that's it. So there you go. This is a massive book for Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, it just says covers Microsoft, Xbox 360, PlayStation. I don't know if much was changed or added in since then with updates. I mean, obviously you have the whole